Hello, hello. Can you hear me? And can you see me? Hi, everybody. I'm so happy that there's already so many people here. Are you having a good Sunday? Who's got some Christmas or holiday decorations up already? We have nothing. We have some lights out on the balcony. I guess you can't see them, but we have those on the balcony the whole year. So I have a question for everybody just as we're getting started here. First of all, I am using the microphone on my laptop right now. So let me know if this sounds okay, and otherwise I am going to plug in this. And now I'm using the microphone on this. So let me know, is there any difference at all? Do you guys think I should do one instead of the other, or does it really not make a difference? Because if it doesn't make a difference, I would rather do it without the headphone. So what do you guys think? Andreas, do you mean it's not so good with this, or it's not so good without this? Without is better? Better from the laptop? Okay, good. Then we're done with this. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. It is Sunday, November 29th, and on this week's edition of Sunday Sofatime Live, we're talking about how much money I spent on my MSC cruise on the Grandiosa. I'm just realizing I don't have my watch or my ring on because I just got out of the shower, but I still have a watch and we still wear rings, just so you know. But isn't that weird? This is one of those things that, like, when you always have it on, then something happens and then you realize you don't. Anyways, here we are off on a tangent. Haven't done a tangent in a while. Let's say some hellos, and then I'm going to get right into it. I've got my invoice here from the cruise. This is actually what they printed out for me. And just to let you guys, or to let everybody know, I'm going to go through everything here and let you know how much it cost, how much I spent. And I also have another special announcement and another short special video from somebody you might know, and a little maybe inspiration for some Christmas gifts. And one thing I also wanted to ask is if any of you out there are really like sort of finance savvy, or maybe work as accountants or whatever, and as we go through this, if you want to write down the categories, like how much I spent on drinks, how much I spent on food, and you know what I mean, and like separate it, that would be a fun thing for maybe some of you to do. Definitely not for me. So let's say hello here. Hello, Martha. How do I do this? Hello, Martha from sunny California. I'm so happy that it's sunny there. Jackie's in Phoenix. I bet it's sunny there too. Good morning from Woodstock, Georgia. Hi, Sue. Kristen is here from Orlando. We've got, oh, geez, it's all going so fast now. We've got somebody who's not really named Sally. Happy Sunday since it's past good morning in Germany. Yeah, it's 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Ika Mouse is here. Some familiar faces. Hello from Beijing. Wow. Hi there. It's nice to see you. I'm glad you could make it. All right. Hello to everybody who's here already. I'm not going to take the time to go through and like say hello to everybody. I'm so happy you're all here. And like I said, what we're going to do today is we're going to go through and I'm going to show you and talk a little bit about all the money I spent on my MSC cruise. I did not have the drinks package. I did not have the dining package. I did not have any kind of package on this cruise. So this will give you a little bit of a just sort of an impression of how much money you could spend on an MSC cruise. I decided, I mean, as I usually do, that I wasn't going to hold back, and that if I wanted to have another drink at night, I would have another drink, and I wouldn't let the, when it comes to the drinks, that I wouldn't let the finance issue be the reason why I wouldn't have another one if I wanted one. The reason I'm saying that is because when you have a drink package, then you pay a certain lump sum in advance, and then you just order as many drinks as you want. And I figured that it would be interesting to just do that anyways and then see how much it adds up to be. Am I making sense? Do you know what I'm saying? Also, I did eat at least one specialty restaurant. I can't remember if I had two. We'll know in a minute. And I did an excursion. So let's get into it here. And I've got the invoice here loaded into the program, and I've got it in three different like snippets. How can I put myself down here in the corner again? Huh. How did I do that last time? Do we have any eCam savvy people out there? Oh, there. That's better. Well, a little bit better. What if I put it down here? Good. All right. So first thing I want to mention to is look at how they spelt my middle name. My middle name is Patrick, and they spelt it Patrick. That's an interesting take on how to spell Patrick. So the first thing I spent money on Onboard was the internet. And like I said, while I was on this cruise, I decided to just pay for the cruise, just the cruise, in advance, and then Onboard pay for everything else just to see how much it added up to be. And the first thing I spent on the first day was like the biggest, fastest internet package that they offered. And that was, are these in dollars? These are euros, by the way. So it was 104 euros and 93 cents. So it was probably like 99 US dollars. I don't know. Actually, I think the onboard currency on this ship was euros. So yeah, maybe it was 100 euros, and that's like the automatic thing that gets added to it. So I'm thinking that that is the most expensive single thing that I spent money on board was having internet for the whole time. The next thing you'll see there is it says MasterCard and it says $304.93. So let me blend this out for a second. On MSC, they do things a little bit differently when it comes to the invoices. I mean, that's not the only thing they do a little bit differently on MSC, but I was not able to successfully link my credit card to my reservation before I got on the ship. And once you get on the ship, they have machines down by guest relations and on the floors, like in that atrium, where you can either just pay cash onto your account, or you can set up a credit card to, you do it like through the machine and not at guest relations. And I guess there are advantages and disadvantages to it. Hey, Heather, glad you could make it. But this is how it is on MSC. So that sort of charge you're seeing here, the second thing where it says MasterCard, $304.93, that is me scanning my credit card and putting 300 euros of credit onto my account. I figured I probably wasn't going to spend more than 300 euros. If I did or didn't, you will all know at the end of this video. And so now that I'm seeing that that's also $493, I think that $493 must be just like the automatic charge added to things like that. I don't know. All right. So also on the first night, which was, it's 6/10, so that is the 6th of October, already almost 2 months ago, the first drink I had was in the Grandiosa bar and lounge, and it cost $9.78. What drink that was, I don't remember, but I am assuming it was some kind of cocktail. So price of cocktails looks like it's around 9-10 euros. The next charge on here is the Purple Crab Restaurant number 2, which I don't know why there's a number 2 there, but the charge is $12.54, and that is a glass of wine. And for a glass of wine, I think I picked one of the higher end glasses of wine just so I kind of wanted to treat myself on the first night. And here's one interesting thing I noted. In the main dining room, if you order a glass of wine from the menu, it's not included. I don't know if it's included with the drink package. Oh, some wines are included with the drink package. I found that out later in the week. Anyways, I ordered a glass of wine. She filled it up to, the line on the glass. And I finished it shortly before I was finished with dinner. And she came back and just filled it up. And I was like, okay, did she not ask if I wanted to purchase another glass of wine? But actually, later in the week, I found out that's just kind of how they do it. At least they did it on the Grandiosa. So here's a little money-saving tip. At least on the cruise that I was on, I have no way to confirm if this is how they're doing it nowadays or if they'll be doing this in the future. But if you order a glass of wine at dinner, it's like free refills. So that was kind of nice. That was something, like I said, I figured it out on the second night or by the second night, and then I did take advantage of it. So you pay for one glass of wine, and then I got at least one free glass of wine every night at dinner that I had in the main dining room after that. The next charge says entertainment 20. So I'm trying to consider, oh, you know what that was? That was casino money. So you can book, can you explain this? I'm assuming most of you have used like a modern slot machine, like in Vegas or the casinos around the United States or wherever. And now they have like touchscreen displays. And so using the touchscreen directly on the slot machine that I was using, I charged 20 euros to my account, and that's what this is. So if there is anybody out there who's doing the accounting, add now 20 euros to the casino, okay? If there's anybody out there adding this all up for me. Some people are, Linda is writing, that the image is completely blurry on her television, but other people are writing that it looks fine. I think I really don't know why that happens sometimes. It has to do, I think, with the internet connection. Mine seems to be working fine. Other people seems to be working fine. And by the way, Linda, thank you so much. Linda is my newest VIP on Patreon. She just signed up today or yesterday. So thanks, Linda. And speaking of Patreon, like I said, stay tuned. I've got a special sort of surprise coming up. Good. Moving on, we have the service charge. And the only thing I can think of what that is just the daily gratuity. And it was a 7-night cruise, so the daily gratuity, it's only 10 euros a day, which I think is reasonable. I know that on other cruise lines it's definitely more, and it didn't bother me, so I left it there. Okay, we're already on the third day now. And by the way, it's kind of strange that the gratuity was charged on the third day. But remember, on this cruise, there was no like beginning port and end port. It was like rotating. So in every port, people were beginning or ending their cruise. So maybe that was just the day they picked. Next, the next charge here on the 8th of October was the Horizon Bar. And it's $3.34, and then the Safari Bar, $3.34. Oh, you know what those are? Those are bottles of water. So one thing I noticed on this ship was that it wasn't really easy to like just sort of get a glass of water someplace. On other ships I've been on, they've had big water coolers like on the bars by the pool and stuff, and you could just go get yourself a glass of water. I don't know if the reason they don't do that or they didn't do this on the Grandiosa was because of the current situation or if they just don't do it. But also, it's not possible at the moment to just sort of like walk into the buffet and fill up a glass with water. You have to wait in line, get your temperature taken, wash, sanitize your hands, and then wait in line to get to the water machines, and somebody will be like, doing the water for you. So that's why I bought several bottles of water on this cruise, but these were, oh, I like that. Okay, I'm figuring out more and more as we go along here. But so a bottle of water, and I'm talking like a big bottle of water, was €3 and some change, and I think that's a really reasonable price. Speaking of water, I'm going to need to take a sip here. How's everybody doing? Let's see what's going on in the comments here. Some people are saying YouTube is reducing the signal to keep the flow going without interruption, and it helps if you just refresh the window. Hey, Jenny. Hi, Adam. Very funny. All right, moving on. So on the 8th, I also booked my excursion, which was $39.99. And people, this was one of the coolest excursions that I've ever done. I had so much fun. It was so interesting. It was a bicycle excursion. It's something that I never would have thought to do, but this friend of mine who lives just around the corner from me, who's also a very successful cruise vlogger here in Germany, excuse me, in the port prior to that, he did a bike tour, and he raved about it. So I decided to do it too, and it was a fantastic way to get around a lot of the city and do a little bit of activity. And they were e-bikes, so you could kind of decide how much you really wanted to pedal and how much you wanted to use the assistance of the bike. But it was like the entire afternoon, and it was 40 euros, and that was a great price. And that is going to be in there's still a couple days of vlogs coming before we get to that, but that is coming up. I tried to do as much filming as I could. It wasn't that easy, but I'm definitely going to be doing a lot of talking about it. And that's all I have on this little sheet. And so let's move on to the next sheet that I have. And I see here that there's quite a few people saying, Heather Travels saying, had a great time biking on Mackinac Island. We have a PTSD from a bike tour through the rainforest on St. Lucia. Post-traumatic stress. Oh no, Melissa, what happened? Melissa said apparently something not so great happened. Is it because of all the bugs, Melissa? Heather writes, but biking in Vail, Colorado was a fail. No gears on the bikes and no handbrakes. No good in the mountains. No, that doesn't sound good. Heather, I'm sure you have a video about that on your channel. I'll try to check that out later. All right, let's move on here. Melissa, curious to hear, though, what happened in your bike tour that was so bad in the rainforest on St. Lucia. For everybody who's just showing up here, we're going through all my charges on the MSC Grandiosa to let you know how much you can expect to spend if you don't have the drink package, if you go to a specialty restaurant, and if you do an excursion. So this is the second little piece that I want to show you, and it's pretty self-explanatory. So on the 9th of October, it says here, Atmosphere Ice Cream Bar, and no, I didn't get ice cream. I went to the ice cream bar before my excursion to buy another bottle of water. So you can see $3.34, and like I said, that was for a big bottle of water. I think that's a reasonable price. So here's a charge that I'm confused about what this is. Masters of the Sea for 20 euros and 70 cents. What would that have been? Masters of the Sea. It was the same day I did my the bike tour. I'm really sorry, everybody. I can't remember what that is. If I think of it before the end of this, I'll let you know. And if anybody can sort of while I'm going through this, maybe do a Google search for what Masters of the Sea on the MSC Grandiosa might be, let me know. That'd be cool. All right, moving on here. The next thing was another drink, Grandiosa Bar and Lounge, $8.05. I'm sure that was another cocktail. I don't think I ordered any beer on this cruise. I think when it comes to alcoholic drinks, I ordered cocktails and then wine in the main dining room. Oh, wait a second. You know what? I think I know what it is. Nope. Wrong. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I can't remember what that was. But the next thing is the MSC Foundation. So this is just a €1 charge. It's something that I could easily have had removed from my account, but it goes to the MSC Foundation, and what they do is they help, you know, they have things to keep the ocean clean and to help with marine animals and things like that. And I thought, yeah, €1, I would gladly donate €1 for that. Why not? Heather's asking, since you didn't do this for your Mindshift cruises, do you know which cruise you spent the most for onboard? Well, yeah, definitely for this, because the Mindshift was all inclusive. So there was no money to be spent on Mindshift because it was all included. We didn't go to any specialty restaurants, and there were no excursions to be done. So, yeah. All right. Moving on, the Purple Crab Restaurant. That is the main dining room, by the way. And there's another glass of wine. And for those of you who have shown up here a little bit later, I mentioned earlier in the video that in the main dining room, at least on my cruise, if you ordered a bottle of wine or a glass of wine from the menu, it was like free refills. They just kept coming back and filling it up. So that was great. All right. Dimitri says Masters of the Sea is a pub. Okay. Now it's starting to ring a bell. And now I know why I couldn't remember what it was. Thank you, Dimitri. Okay. Almost every night in the Irish pub, which is on the second level of that really long, really beautiful promenade in the middle of the ship. Thanks, LJ. So almost every night they were offering a tasting where for a set price, which was €20, it was probably a little bit less. I think it was probably like €19, and that's the the gratuity added on top of it. For that price, you would get, it was a tasting menu, and then you would get 5 things to taste. And you've seen my videos of like the martini tasting and the margarita tasting that I've done on other ships. And usually you pay one price, and then what you get is like a mini cocktail. You know what I mean? You get like a small portion to try them out. So I went to the Irish pub, that's what this Masters of the Sea is, to get a vodka tasting. I just thought it would be interesting when you think of, like that kind of alcohol tasting differently, like you think, okay, well, I'm sure there's a difference in quality between different champagnes, and there's a difference in quality and taste between like whiskey and things like that. But you never really think, or at least I never really thought about there being a difference in the flavor of vodka. But after doing this, I can tell you there definitely is. And here's the thing that surprised me. I paid, like €19, and I was expecting to get just like a tiny little bit of 5 different vodkas, but it was 5 full shots of vodka plus a little plate full of caviar bellinis for €19. An amazing, amazing deal. I've never, like, unbeatable on any other ship I've ever been on. So for some of the people in the comments of my recent videos who's saying that I'm just nitpicking and I complain about everything, I just would like to say it again. That deal, and they had it several nights with different things like whiskey and champagne and rum with little snacks that came with it. I've never seen a deal like that on any other cruise ship. That's amazing. So I did it one night, and Tom Green saying, it's not surprising Morgan doesn't remember the vodka tasting. How many samples were there? It was 5 full shots of vodka. And I'll be honest with you, I drank 3 of them at the table, and I took 2 of them back and put them in the fridge, and then had them like the rest of the cruise. So that let's move on here with the onboard account here. Where did I leave off? The Grandiosa Bar and Lounge. Oh, wait a second. No. Okay, so we were at the Purple Crab Restaurant where I was talking about getting refilled, my glass of wine refilled. Thanks, everybody, for showing up here, by the way. The next thing is another MasterCard charge. So I had to go back and put even more money on my account because up until now, I guess I had already spent around 300 euros. For those of you who've shown up a little bit later, on the Grandiosa, there are these large, like, they look like ATMs, you know, like money machines where you can swipe your credit card or put cash in, and that is how you like sort of deal with your expenses on board, your onboard account. So I went back, put in another, I don't know, 110 euros, 100 euros maybe, just to sort of top up my account. The next thing we see here is the Grandiosa Bar and Lounge. So that was another cocktail. And this is another thing I can tell you. This was another deal. In the main promenade at night, they had live music and they had like sort of fun, sort of salsa line dancing. I did participate. I did not make a video of it. But in that area, they also had a separate one of these like mobile bars set up where they very often had a 2-for-1 deal where you like buy one cocktail and you get the second one for free. Did I really have to explain what 2-for-1 is? I did it anyways. And this was a 2-for-1, I think it was mojito. And because the other cocktails were, you know, around like 8 or 9, I was surprised that then all of a sudden it was 12 something. And it was because they were using the premium alcohol, but still. 12.65 for 2 really fantastic tasting mojitos, and then live music, and then free salsa line dancing on the dance floor with masks on. It was cool. I had no problem with it. The next thing is the Atmosphere Ice Cream Bar, another bottle of water. Okay, moving on here to Kaito SR, and that was the really fantastic sushi restaurant on board. I just decided on, it was the last night, I guess, to treat myself to sushi, and it was tasty and fantastic. The service was pretty good until I got my food, and then she disappeared, and I ended up sitting there for a long time before I could sign off and leave. But there's going to be video of the entire sushi experience coming up on the channel. So if you're a fan of sushi or restaurants on board cruise ships, one I can definitely recommend on the Grandiosa. Of course, it is an upcharge, but for me, to let you know, I got 3 sushi rolls, and one of them was a special roll. So, like a crunchy roll. Sorry, there's something here on my screen. So a crunchy roll, and then 2 sort of normal rolls, plus a small bottle of water, plus a glass of sake, and it was not even 30 euros. And that's a good price. I can tell you, compared to when we go out like here and go all out for sushi, that's a good price. So if you've maybe noticed the theme here, MSC is usually not an expensive ship to get a basic cabin on. And from what you can see here, also the onboard prices for things, at least on this cruise at this moment in the Mediterranean, very, very reasonable. Yes, from my videos that you've seen so far and the ones that are coming up that the quality is sort of, it varies. But at least you can get a lot for not so much money. And speaking of money, thank you very much, LJ Roth, for a super chat. Love your videos, always entertaining. I'm so glad you're here, and please stick around. Really, I'm so appreciative of your support, and thank you very much. All right, we're almost done here with the expenses, and then, like I said, I've got a little surprise coming up. So the final thing here is the TV studio bar. It says 920, and that's another thing where I can tell you they were having also a 2-for-1, and it was because the studio bar was also in the promenade, but it's kind of enclosed, and I think it's just some place that a lot of people don't go to. And so I think at night at a certain time they were always offering a 2-for-1 happy hour to sort of try to get people in there. I don't know why, because if they're not in there, there's still someplace else on the ship spending money, you know what I mean? But so I remember specifically that I got 2 Cosmopolitans there. 2 Cosmopolitans for €9.20 for people who are not familiar with the exchange, that's probably like $10, 10 US dollars. So a 2-for-1, 2 great cocktails for $10, really great prices. Moving on here to the grand total. So, oh wait, there are a couple more charges on here. Sorry, I thought that was the end, but there's a few more things on here. Okay, so the MasterCard charge there, you can see. Wait a second, is that another 100? Let me put this together here. No, that's the same one. So Grandiosa Bar and Lounge. Oh no, wait, I'm sorry, you guys. This is the same. These are the same expenses that I just went through. But you can see here at the bottom, do you guys see my mouse? Do you see that little hand moving around? Somebody let me know if you see my mouse moving. In the meantime, I'll answer Daniel's question. Yes, I do really enjoy spending time in the casino. Okay, you can't see the mouse. All right. Thanks. I'm a little bit confused about how these numbers add up. It looks like I had paid onto, like I paid into my account 418 euros and 17 cents. I ended up spending 372 euros and 69 cents. And so the minus 45, 48 is money that I actually got back at the end of the cruise. And to tell you the truth, speaking of getting money back, for those who've been watching from the beginning, you saw that way, like on the first night, I used 20 euros out of my onboard account to play in the casino, and that money lasted me. I went to the casino every night, and that money lasted me until the end of the cruise because I won a lot. So not only were the drink prices and the food prices very reasonable for a cruise ship, but the slot machines in the casino were very loose. I had a really great time playing in the casino, and I met some friends too, and we met in the casino a couple times and had a good time playing around in the casino on the slot machines. So Daniel is saying, wow, 20 bucks, that's insane. Yeah, at one point I was up almost 200 euros. And of course I gave a lot of it back, but I did put quite a bit. I think I had like 60, 70 euros at the end that I just put back in my pocket. And that's good, you know, for starting with 20 euros. I had a good time. Superstarian knows how. Morgan, how long did it take them to refund you? Or Linda, it's Linda, right? It was like immediate because what I did is I went to this machine, and like I said, it's like an ATM, and then you scan your cruise card, your account comes up, and I said, please refund, and it spit out cash and coins, I think. I know it can give out cash, but it might have been booked back to my card. So it was like immediately. Tom Green says, my wife always wins in the casino. I always lose. So if we're ever on a cruise together, Tom, I know who I'm hanging out with. Before I move on to my little surprise, do any of you have any other questions about the money on the cruise? About what things cost or anything like that? Like there was nothing that I spent money on that I felt like was not worth it. It all seemed like, especially that excursion. That was, for that amount of money, that was fantastic. Hey, Emma Cruises, you made it. Thanks for coming. Just M says, they said it's best to gamble at the beginning of the cruise, but for MOC, there's no set beginning or end of the cruise, so I guess it's all random. Yeah, what Just M is referring to, like I said, is on this cruise, and I think on a lot of Mediterranean cruises with MSC, it's not that everybody starts at one port and ends at another port. It's like rotating. So in every port, people are coming and going. So yeah, there is no like beginning of the cruise. It's just always happening. Betsy wants to know, what was the high of your cruise and what was the low? Oh, Betsy, that's so hard to say. You've been around here for a while. You know I have a really hard time picking favorites of anything. As far as, like I said, things that money that I spend, I think it's disappointing that you have to spend so much money for internet on a ship, but the internet on the Grandiosa was pretty good. I could watch YouTube videos, so that's pretty good. Daniel wants to know, did I take any pictures that I wanted to buy? No. Nope, I didn't. And that's something that I usually don't do. I know there are people who enjoy that, but I don't do that. Jason wants to know, room service was only $10 a day. I think that $10 a day was actually the gratuity, so it gets split up between the main dining room and the cabin steward and things like that. I don't think that was for room service. By the way, room service, well, I think you guys have seen this in the videos, right? Room service is included, but only breakfast. And I'm not saying only breakfast. I'm just saying, so breakfast was included as room service, and it's something that I used almost every day. Susan says, I love the unlimited wine with dinner in the MDR. Yeah, I mean, that was great. And like I said, I can't promise you that they'll be doing this on any other cruises, but they did it on this cruise, and I thought that was fantastic. Ethel says, cost seems pretty reasonable throughout. Not a bad deal. No, it was not a bad deal at all. And I can't tell you how much I paid for the actual cruise because of this discount program that I used. I signed a thing saying I won't talk about the price, but altogether, it was really, really reasonable. And I'll say it again, that's one thing that you can expect from MSC. I would say, don't expect the quality of things like food and entertainment to be at the same level as Royal Caribbean, Carnival, especially not Disney, not NCL. However, you're paying considerably less than Disney, for example. So, Robin wants to know, was there an option for a drink package? Yes, there was an option. Was it cheaper to not have it? Yes. Unfortunately, I can't remember exactly how much it boiled down to, but before I got on the cruise, I was sent an offer for the drink package, and I added it up that I would have had to had paid for at least 3 cocktails every night. And with these 2-for-1 deals and everything that I took advantage of, I spent way less than what the drink package would have cost. Julie Wilson wants to know, are the excursions a lot cheaper than other cruises? I would say yes. I haven't paid for a lot of ship official excursions on cruises I've done recently, but I think from the feedback that I've also got from other people here, what would you all say? What was that, 40? Let me look again. Yeah, 40 euros for an all-day bicycle tour of a Mediterranean port. That's a fantastic price. I'm sure that's a fantastic price. Heather wants to know, did any of your 3 recent cruises feel understaffed? Yes, the second cruise on the TUI Mindshift felt understaffed. I felt like the cruise that I had done a couple weeks before that, there were so few passengers on it that I feel like TUI kind of thought, okay, well, we'll let some people go home. And then a couple weeks later, it was booked to the capacity that was allowed, and the staff did seem a little bit overwhelmed. Emma Cruises says, I took some friends on their first cruise with MSC, and they went to the muster drill twice because they didn't know they had to only go once. Yeah, most cruises don't have multiple muster drills, but they did on MSC. Kitty Cat writes, would they let you take a final glass of wine back to your room? I understand what you're asking, and I think, well, I definitely did take my glass out of the main dining room, but what I didn't do, so let's say I finish my first glass of wine, and they come back and they fill it up again, for free, and then I finish it. What I didn't do is wait and ask them to fill it again before I left. I didn't want to push it. So I don't know if that answers your question, but I did leave with like a half filled glass of wine. Just M wants to know, did they try to sell you drink packages and other stuff constantly? That's MSC. On my last MSC cruise that I did with Marcus together, yes, they were constantly, every time we went to order a drink, somebody talked to us about the drink packages, but it was totally different on this cruise. So on this cruise, not. On the last cruise, yes, all the time. Desmo, I've done lots of MSC cruises. The only thing I ever did with the casino was walk on through it. House never loses. Well, they did this time. I can tell you, I left with at least 60, 70 euros in my pocket. Lovely Amethyst says, hi, I'm a little bit late though. Yeah, you missed most of it already. All right, so let me move on, and I'll answer some more questions in the end, but I have a little fun thing that I wanted to try out. And you guys know I've been talking about Patreon, and I've been talking about my Amazon store, and I don't want to, and I hope that this is not becoming too much like talking about like gifts and things like that. But I'm just, I'm really motivated at the moment to look for new ways to interact and new ways to sort of give you all stuff and sort of get a little bit in return, you know. And so after I did my most recent video of Dino, which we talked about last week in last week's live Sunday Sofa Time, and the video is online now as a standalone video, I just realized there are some people who really like Dino, and I like hanging out with him too when I get the chance. But so I have added, well, first of all, let me tell you, I was inspired by this website named Cameo. Have you guys heard of Cameo? A lot of like the really successful YouTubers, and then there's also people like the Real Housewives and other like television and movie personalities. Cameo is a website that you can go to and you can have them create like a video just for you. So you can like have, I don't know who's on there. What's an example? You know, like Todrick Hall or Pee Wee Herman. You can sign up and then they will make a video for you directly. You give them some information and then you can have this video and you can like give it to somebody as like a birthday present. So you can have, you know, like Peyton Manning wish your son happy birthday. And I think it's a really cool concept, but I don't think that I have the draw to like set up a Cameo account. You know, I've got YouTube, I've got Instagram, I've got Patreon, and I don't think I need a Cameo. But what I've done is I've created a new like Patreon tier that you can sign up for now for $6.99. And between now and December 20th, if you sign up to be one of Dino's friends, you can get a personalized message from Dino for, you know, to tell a loved one, a friend, a fan, whoever, a holiday greeting from Dino. So it's just an idea I had. I put it on Patreon. It's up there right now. Like I said, it's $6.99. You get all the things that you get from Patreon. You get to access to the exclusive content that's not posted on YouTube, the behind the scenes videos. I've been posting so many things to Patreon right now. I've been also very motivated. There's been, you know, like so many like long videos posted to Patreon recently. So I'm excited about that. And there's just another thing. I thought I would try it out. So if any of you want to get a personalized message for somebody from Dino for Christmas, then, excuse me, check that out. By doing that, you get a fun little message that you can surprise somebody with. You help support the Very Unofficial Travel Guides, and you also get access to a bunch of stuff that that is exclusive to Patreon members. I guess I should have rehearsed that a little bit better. But so it's patreon.com/veryunofficial. So I'm going to go back to the comments here for about another 2 or 3 minutes, and then I'm going to say goodnight to everybody. It's dinner time here. So Susan says, I'm there. So I'm looking forward to see you sign up, and then I will forward your message to Dino, all right? Just M says, that sounds like fun. Dino personalized message. Good, thank you. You know, it's just an idea. for people who want to do it. By the way, frequently asked questions. If you are already a VIP member of Patreon and you want to get also get this benefit, just let me know. It's included in your membership as well. Dave says, other than the gratuities, I spend $0 on a ship. I only take what is complimentary. Is that cheap or what? No, that is not cheap at all. And that's one of the great things about cruising is, if you don't want to spend any extra money, you don't have to. And I'm pretty sure, Heather, correct me if I'm wrong, Heather Travels, I'm so happy you're always here. Heather also has a lot of videos on YouTube. And Heather, don't you say that when you do your Disney cruises, you also spend nothing on board? That your kids, that you have a rule that if your kids ask you for something that costs money that they already know the answer is no? So Dave, you're not the only person who does that. And that's one of the great things about cruising. Julie Wilson wants to know, can you pay gratuities up front on MSC and others? I definitely know you can pay gratuities up front on other ships. If you can do it on MSC or not, I really don't know, to tell you the truth. Sorry, can't answer that question. I need another drink, hold on. Just water. Heather says, correct. My kids know. If it's extra, the answer is no. Desmo writes, I buy the drinks package, and even then, I make sure that I'm nowhere near anyone who's celebrating. What do you mean by that, Desmo? I'm not sure that I understand what you mean there. Brandon wants to know, how was the fact that every port was embarkation, disembarkation? Was it weird that people were starting and stopping at every port? I have to say, Brandon, it has a big advantage, and that is on the day when you're boarding the ship or when you're disembarking the ship or when I was doing it, there's less people. You know, it's not like when you're on a ship the size of the Grandiosa, I forgot how big it is. The maximum passenger capacity during normal times on the Grandiosa is 6,000 something. So it's almost as big as like the Harmony and the Oasis of the Seas. And so 6,000 people getting on board and leaving on the same day, as opposed to it like rotating, it's obviously, there's just less happening. So I think it's an advantage to do it that way. Tom Green writes, you can prepay gratuity on Royal Caribbean. We do it, okay, our trips, but you have to ask. Oh, on our trips. Okay, Desmo writes, I meant I won't even share a free drink. Haha, kidding. Well, that's something else I can mention. On other cruise lines I've been on, I know that they are very strict. If you have the drink package, they sort of keep an eye on how many drinks you order an hour, and that the drinks are only going to you or the other people in your cabin who also have the drink package, right? Well, on this cruise that I was on, the people were sitting next to me in the main dining room. We got to chatting and we hung out a couple nights in the casino. Like I said, they had the drink package and they ordered quite a few drinks for me. So that's also money I didn't spend, but I probably wouldn't have spent as much time in the casino anyways if I wasn't hanging out with them, just to let you know, like factor it all into the prices here that we talked about. Anyways, they were not picky at all. They were very obviously ordering drinks for me too, and nobody said anything. So another cool thing about it. I keep forgetting that I can put your comments here on the screen. So Brandon says, that makes a ton of sense. Thanks for answering my question. You're very welcome. I'm one of your newer Patreon members, Brandon and John Michael. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for signing up. And I hope that you've taken some time to look at some of the comments or some of the exclusive videos and stuff like that already too. Desmo writes, I once had a staff member on an MSC trip hassle me for drinks. Yeah, like I said, this cruise compared to my last MSC cruise, night and day when it comes to people trying to get you to spend extra money. Lewis wants to know, any fear of the virus on the cruise? Well, sorry if it's Louise, right? Sorry. On this cruise, everybody was tested in the port before boarding the ship. So before we were even allowed to get on the ship, we were tested and had to wait for the results before our trip continued. So that made me relax a little bit more. And I have to say, at least in comparison to being on the German ships, I saw much more compliance on board the Grandiosa than I did on the TUI mine shifts. So that was interesting. Dave wants to know, were people wearing masks in the hot tub? No. No, people were not wearing masks in the hot tub or in the pool. And as soon as you sit down someplace, you could also remove your mask. But there is an interesting hot tub story. So if you haven't watched the most recent video, the most recent vlog from the cruise, go check that out. Excuse me. Betsy, thank you so much. Any cruises planned before the end of the year? Thank you, Betsy, for the super chat. No, I do not have any cruises planned before the end of the year. That doesn't mean that I might not spontaneously do one, but at the moment, we are on a partial lockdown here in Germany. It is still possible to go on a cruise, but I'm playing it kind of cool again because I just feel better that way. So I don't have any cruises planned before the end of the year, but Marcus and I are already talking about plans for January because Marcus's birthday is in January, and we always like to do something special. Last year, from around Marcus's birthday, we did our mega trip where we did the Carnival cruise, the Disney cruise, and then the Disney World visit. So we won't be able to do anything like that this year. Another super chat, Tony Sullivan. Thank you. What is this one? Love all these sound effects. Thank you so much, Tony. That really means a lot to me. Thank you, everybody, for showing up, just showing up here, too. Joyce wants to know, just a quick share. Let's put this on screen here. We booked Royal for September, and the sales are so good that we got a suite for the same price we usually pay for a balcony, and gratuities included. Win. Yeah, that's amazing. What ship, Joyce? Tom writes, we're hoping our cruise in April still happens. A trip this year is well earned for everyone. Yes. You know, I'm going to wrap this up here really quick, but there's something I want to mention before I go to the people who have stuck around this long. Wow, we're almost at an hour. Thank you so much, everybody, for hanging out here. I hope I could, distract you and entertain you a little bit. Is that I'm realizing as I'm going through the videos of this cruise that we're talking about today that I don't know why, but for some reason I had a very critical eye, to say it nicely. Other people are saying in the comments I was very whiny. Yeah, and I agree with you. I don't know why specifically on this cruise I was more critical of everything or more vocal about things that I was, upset about or things that were, kind of like annoying me. But I'm definitely noticing it on this as I'm editing the videos together, and I'm trying to be aware of that when I edit it together, and I am cutting some things out that when I watch it, I think, okay, well, I remember why I said that, but I'm just going to leave it out of the video. And sometimes those are the things that then end up getting uploaded to Patreon, so these behind-the-scenes things, and then sometimes I just think, okay, you know what? Nobody needs to see that. Lovely Amethyst writes, I feel like you got a little bit spoiled on the Mindshift 2 and 1. Yes, definitely. And MSC may not seem so good in comparison. It's true. I mean, both of those Mindshift cruises were spectacular in their own way. The first one was spectacular because there were so few people on board, and it was the first cruise after, the first big lockdown. And the second one was spectacular, of course, because we decided to splurge on that suite. And so to go back to being on a cruise that was pretty well booked, and that I paid, or and then I was in a normal cabin again. I mean, I ended up in a normal cabin. Yeah, maybe that has something to do with it. I don't know. Melissa writes, hoping for a Baltic cruise in July to be a go, but planning a plan B. I like to hear the good and the bad. Well, Melissa, depending on where you live and what cruise line that's going to be, I think a Baltic cruise in July is a pretty safe bet, I would have to say. I would say if I had to pick one now to be a safer bet between a cruise leaving from Miami and a cruise here in Northern Europe, I would say probably the Northern Europe cruise is the safer bet. But I'm pretty sure, and I'm really hoping for everybody out there, and for me included, that cruising from Miami and Florida opens up again soon. All right, everybody, we're gonna be at almost exactly an hour. So for everybody who came today, thank you so much. For everybody who's watching this in the future and have who have watched it until now, let's give those people a secret word. Whoever can write the first good suggestion for a secret word in the comments, that's what I'm going to use. So who's got an idea for a secret word that the people watching this in the future can write in the comments to let me know that they actually watched it till the end? What do you think would be a good secret word? I'm waiting. Who's got a suggestion? The secret word is Advent. That's a good suggestion. Thank you. Yeah, so the secret word, if anybody's watching this in the future and you've watched it to the end, write something about Advent in the comments. And a good thing, the reason is because today is the first of Advent. And so here in Germany, a lot of people have set up a candle, and now it's dinner time here. So like I've said already, thanks everybody for hanging out. Thank you for coming to Sunday Sofa Time Live. If it's going to be live next week or not, I'm not sure yet. I hope so, but we'll know when it happens. All right. Good night, everybody. See you soon.